Call this meeting to order. I don't really have anything for remarks other than congratulations to Huron Staff and Council. Our budget is official. Timeline has lagged. There were no reports or concerns of anybody that wanted anything addressed on. We would like to acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the neutral peoples. Can I get a mover and a seconder for confirmation of the agenda, please? Councillor Chartrand, Councillor Dalton. All those in favor. And motion carries. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest from any member of council on the agenda? Councillor Morrison.
610 accounts payable report, the Brussels Egg Society is mentioned, of which I'm a member.
Correct. Can I get a mover and a seconder for confirmation or approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 3rd, 2026? Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Beal. All those in favor? Motion carries. We have a consent agenda. There's a number of items listed there. Is there anything that anybody would like to have pulled for discussion at this time? Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 6.8 and 6.9, I think the cameras on buses. I think it's made sure my kids almost got hit a couple times with people going through, and I would like to support that. And then the one about, I think it's 6.9 is farmland, Bill 21 or something. I think that has merit as well. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's deal with them one at a time. I certainly thought the camera idea was a good one, other than, I don't know if putting it on the arm is a good idea. It could just get covered with snow like your backup camera in your
They already have them on the arm on other bus stations and they work well.
Oh, really? Yeah, how do they keep the snow off when I can't keep it off my reverse mirror?
They work nice and clear. You can actually see the license plate of the car that's passing it. 'Cause driving for 17 years, I had many cars go through my stop sign and you try to get the license plate by eye, but
Yeah,
it flies so fast. The camera on the arm does the trick.
that's good. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Second by Councillor Chartrand. All those in favor? And motion carries. The second one that Councillor Fisher has raised is the support for Bill 21, protect our food. Do I have a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor, any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Are there any of the other items that someone would like to have pulled? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And actually, maybe just a clarification on 7.1. I had actually emailed Denise today about, she's away on holidays, and I just wondered, there's a couple things in there, and I believe it's on page 25. Maybe someone can answer it for me here tonight, where they talk about the ballpark, the ball tournament fee, and there's $214. But talking with the committee, they had relayed that they had wanted that changed to $250 because that's currently what they're charging for it anyway. I just wondered if that information either could get through or this could be amended on that.
Yes, we can make that amendment in the schedule on the bylaw. I believe that was supposed to be one of the updates that we were making within those fees, because there were adjustments to the fees based on the committees for the recreation fees. So that should have been updated to that as well.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor, just going on, they were talking about tables and chair rentals. I think it was $6 for a chair and 11 for the table. That's obviously a change. What was it before? And is
That wasn't a change, I don't believe so.
that is still the same?
That's
Is
still
it?
the same. The only change is it's just because the schedules came forward all together on the bylaw. Were the wastewater rates for Schedule D2. And then we just changed the recreational services fees for the Cranbrook Community Hall and the Brussels Public Library, and we can also make that amendment to the for the Ethel Ball Diamond for $250.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Are there any other items on the consent agenda that anybody would like to have pulled to for discussion? Seeing none, can I get a mover and a seconder to address the other items? Councillor Fisher and Councillor Deal. The motion would be that all items not addressed will be accepted. Or whatever.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm without my paperwork. That's okay. All those in favor? And motion carries. We do have a delegation tonight, and that is the Brussels Girl Guides, about the Brussels Library basement. I'm not sure who's doing the presentation. Please come forward to the podium, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. I apologize, I'm a little winded. I ran down the street, so you're running a bit late, but we got here as the bell was alarming that it was 6 o'clock, or the town bell. So my name is Maddie Dietner. I'm here to represent the First Brussels Girl Guides and to bring forth some details about our unit and to talk about the future of Girl Guides within Brussels. So a little bit about Girl Guides. It is a worldwide movement for girls led by women. It is a place where girls and women can be themselves, have fun, make new friends, and participate in new adventures. I've personally been a part of the Brussels Girl Guides for about 32 years, starting when I was 4 years old as a Spark, then a Brownie, which is now called Embers, then Guides, then Pathfinders, followed by being a junior leader and then becoming a leader myself at 19. I started out more of a part-time role while I was away at school, and then over the years taking more on a lead guider role as previous leaders retired and moved on. There was a time when Brussels struggled to find any leaders, but thankfully over the years we have gained more and more. Then after COVID, we gained even more leaders. In addition to myself, we have 6 wonderful women, a part of our team, who I can't say thankful enough for their willingness to join and to keep our unit active and the size it is within Brussels. Being a leader is not a paid position. It is a strictly volunteer position with our skills, knowledge, gas, and time being given to our girls and adult members. We do this job because we love what we do. And for some of our leaders with their daughters as members, they get to spend even more time with their daughters outside the home doing some fun activities. Not only has our unit grown with leaders, we have grown with girl members too. Our lowest members was during the 2020 to 2021 Girl Guide year with only 2 girls, but that didn't stop us as we could have closed that year, but decided to keep it going and took our meetings outside at the conservation area in Brussels or online because it was COVID times. It was different, but I'm glad we didn't close and made for most of the year. Since our 2020-2021 guiding year, we have slowly increased in our girl member numbers, with the last 2 years being a full unit of 25 girls. While this year we also had a wait list of 6 girls on top. It has been amazing to watch our unit grow over the years, and the future of Girl Guides within Brussels will be something to watch over the years to come. We meet as a multi-unit group with Sparks starting at 5 years old up to Rangers of 18 years old. However, the majority of our unit this year is of Sparks, Embers, and Guides, with the ages ranging from roughly 5 to 10 years old. We currently meet weekly on Mondays from 6:30 to 8 in the Brussels Library basement. We are grateful to Council for changing their minds and supporting in us to continue to use the basement until the end of May or June of this year versus being out at the end of February. In appreciation, we did bring some cookies for you guys to join at the end. Hope you like mint. The only time we got. We would love to continue to use the basement for meetings and sleepovers years to come, but we understand as per Council's wishes, this may not be possible, but we would love for Council to consider this idea. Girl Guides have their own liability insurance for our meeting locations, which I recently sent a copy to Alvin. It is an honor to watch the girls grow each year and throughout the year. Some girls start as shy and barely talking to being outgoing and the loudest in the group. The girls love crafts, games, working on badges, selling our wonderful cookies, of course, giving back to the community and learning about our community. For our give back challenges that we do each year, this year we started out with making 10 knotted blankets and donating them to the Haven in Brussels. As well, at Christmas time, we made holiday cards and bird feeders for the residents of Huron. Watch out this spring for when we spend one of our money nights out and about in Brussels collecting garbage. They seem to love it. It's been fun to watch and learn from the girls and see how they come together to think of ways to give back to the community. Other activities we do include, we do a big year-end camp where we either sleep in tents or cabins. We learn to cook over the fire, we have campfires, sing songs, and learn different skills like sewing. We make waterproof bedrolls, how to set up our own tents and campfire safety. Last year, the girls learned how to sew and each got to take home their very unique camp film. Because it wasn't supposed to be a square, but they didn't all turn out like square. Coming up this year, we hope to go snowshoeing and learn how to use compasses with the Maitland Valley Conservation Area. I was not exactly sure how long Girl Guides has been in the Brussels area, but after a deep dive through the Huron County archives, looking through many newspaper clippings from the Brussels Post, I was able to find an article from July 12, 1917, where the Brussels Girl Guides held a garden party to celebrate the members' recent accomplishments. Who would have thought Girl Guides have been providing a program for our local girls within the Brussels community for at least 109 years. Over my 32 years of Girl Guides, a lot of my meetings have been held in the basement of the library, with of course a few years meetings held in some of the churches of Brussels. Even if our meetings were not held at the library, it has always been our supply hub. The library basement has been our place of weekly meetings and some sleepovers. Sorry. For at least the past 10 to 15 years, straight, we've been in the basement. Council may not know this, but the library basement has been used for all levels of the Brussels Girl Guides since at least 1949, if not longer, as per what I could find in the archives of the Brussels Post. Talking with previous Girl Guides members from their childhood, they can recall using the Brussels Library as well. For example, my mom, she's in her 70s now, and she used the library basement as a meeting hub for her childhood Girl Guides meetings. It is a part of our history and has been our success having the library basement accessible to us. It was always a place for us to use and keep our camping and meeting supplies. The years of usage can be seen from the old newspaper clippings hung in the basement, the Christmas parade ribbons for the best float, the books and resources, and the supplies handed down year after year. Our craft supplies are a testament to the multiple donations received throughout the years from our community. You'll never know when you need an old film canister, a toilet paper roll, or feathers. This room thankfully has mostly what we need when we need it. It is super handy with having our supplies at our fingertips whenever something is needed, as you never know when a planned activity will be done quicker, or you just need that filler to fill in the rest of the night. The Brussels community has been a great supporter over the years of our unit. They have been great with buying our cookies, offering us the opportunities to be able to sell our cookies at local establishments, and inviting us to tour and learn from them. For example, we've toured the grocery store to learn how a grocery store works. We visit the library yearly to give the girls a chance to get library cards if they haven't had one before, and to learn how a library works as well. And from the fire department. The girls just love going to the fire department, and it gives that chance of opportunity. Maybe I can do this too. We have also been supported by the Legion with monetary donations. They give us the opportunity to hold events in the Legion, because their space is just a bit bigger, especially when we have 25 girls and each can bring 2 to 3 people. That fills up quite quickly. So let's use their space for enrollment and year-end awards. It lets us be a part of the Remembrance Day services with being a flag and wreath bearers, as well as hosting us for tours so we can also learn about the Legion's history and past wars. We can never say thank you enough for what all the community does for our unit every year. We believe the community will help us again in finding us a location for upcoming guiding year of 2026 to 2027 if the library basement is no longer available for our weekly meetings. Before I end, the Brussels Girl Guides would like to ask Council one more thing. If we're not able to continue to use the basement for weekly meetings and sleepovers, if they would kindly consider letting us to continue to use the basement to hold our craft and camping supplies and allow us to enter to grab what we need for our weekly meetings and camps. If we are able to keep our supplies within Brussels, it's just a central location and just easier for our guiders to be able to just kind of grab things within town versus having to potentially leave town to go to my house in Bluevale to get the stuff out of my basement to be able to attend or to take to a meeting, especially if something's remembered last minute or an idea comes up. Because there's always a chance I can attend every meeting due to my job. Thank you so much for your time to learn about the Brussels Girl Guides, and we hope you will take what we have asked in considerations, and we hope you enjoy the cookies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it Madeline?
Madeline, Maddie, I go whichever.
Madeline, you did fine. Relax, take a breath. There's maybe a couple
That
questions
mouth is
from
like,
council.
stop, do it, so we're doing great.
Is there any questions or comments from council at this time? Deputy Mayor.
Just a couple comments after talking with you, Maddie. Thank you very much for spending time chatting with me as well. You said a couple of your challenges obviously are the storage of equipment. Would be handy for you to have it somewhere close. And the other one, of course, is the size of the meeting room. You know,
Like if we were to use upstairs?
that's correct.
Yeah.
The community room upstairs right now, when you're trying to entertain 25 girls or 25 kids of any size, be quite a challenge, especially if you're doing different things in different corners of the room. So,
We'd make it work, but it'd be very
yes.
tight.
Yes. We've had council meetings there and it doesn't work out well either, but certainly so. And I think you mentioned one time, did you not say that at one point in time, there was a handshake agreement, more or less, that if you provided the insurance, the rent would be free?
From my understanding, it was kind of like, because we're a nonprofit, that
Okay.
it was free at that time, but we're flexible if we need to pay to use the space,
Sure. Sure.
we're capable.
Okay. That's all I have for right now.
I only had one question when I was going through it, and this is maybe more for staff. So I understand they have their own insurance, but would we have any problem with our insurance when there's propane stored in the basement of
These
the
are-
library?
I assume part of the request might have been to keep storage, and these are the questions that I like to ask our insurance, because that's our biggest concern right now, is just that liability if something were to happen to the building, maybe because of the small propane tanks, or to the individuals, especially when you're thinking of sleepovers. I think that's also a concern that we need to be cognizant of and talk to our insurance about. And if council wishes to go that direction, I would just like to see that agreement of the storage and liability in writing and signed off, just so that that's available for future staff, because that, I think that's a key piece to have as well, that we have it in our records, not just a handshake agreement as well. The rent, for sure, I feel like that was the nonprofit, it would also be free for using the community room, so I don't think that's more of the concern, it's the liability of if something were to happen, and we'd have to contact our insurance and see what they would say too.
And Madeline, the one problem is that once we already have an insurance policy and we phone and ask questions, they're not as accommodating as they are when they're trying to sell us the policy. So if in fact they had a problem with the propane, and I'm assuming there's no other camping supplies that they would consider explosive or whatever. If the propane itself was an issue for them, could that be stored offsite someplace else?
Totally.
Councilor Deal?
More for staff also, what is the use of the basement going to be going forward?
We wouldn't have we don't have any groups or anything that using the basement, it would just be to kind of him not have to pay for staff to clean it up or anything, and so we don't have any plans for the basement. Right now, it's just, it also hasn't been updated or upkeeps the washroom.
Oh, it hasn't been
things like that.
updated since
So
I went
yeah,
to Brownie's.
And there's no accessibility, so I'm not sure when that would come into play of offering it as a public space with there not being accessibility outside of the stairs.
It's just too bad, but they don't need the accessibility right now
Yeah.
to.
And if we did need it, we've in the past, like we've had to move, like we used the Brussels Mennonite Church years, and we did have like a fellow leader that used to walk us, then we were just, can we just find a different site at that time and make it work for that other person.
Yeah, those would be the reasons why we don't have a other use for the basement at this point.
Councilor McGrath and then Chartrand.
Propane, you're talking like little cylinders, like the barbecue tanks, or the little cylinders?
Yeah,
I mean,
I,
all I would say is to call the insurance company in one sense is sort of foolish, because if it's a cylinder like that, they say they're gonna take them home with them.
Yeah, we
and
totally-
leave them there.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanna sign a letter to that intent, why even bother the insurance company? But that would be my argument in this case. Your worship is, I mean, how many you got sitting in your basement?
0.
Oh, I got a couple.
I understand the comment. My only concern is if the building ever burned and then they did end up causing an explosion, would that be an avenue for the insurance company to say, you weren't following the rules? That would be my only concern, and that's to protect the municipality, which is our job first.
Well, I agree with you to a point, but the other point I'd like to make is if they're gonna say they're gonna take them off site, we should trust them on their word on that. That's just my own opinion, okay?
Councilor Chartrand.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with storing all their other stuff, but the propane or any other fluid that you might use for lanterns, any explosive stuff definitely should come out of the basement. Definitely, because that could cause a problem.
I don't think there's any other questions. We don't take a vote on something like that.
No, that's
at this
perfect. I
point.
do
There'll be a
that.
Discussion later, but I wanted council to have the opportunity to ask you directly if they had any concerns about anything.
And just one thing I wanted to add, if there's, I know for cleaning and whatnot of the basement, if it's like costs too much, so that we as guiders would have no problem once a month, like staying late, coming in early to our meetings or to one of our days off when we're not at a meeting to do like a deep clean of the basement, if we need like dust and vacuum, and I mean, we clean up after each meeting. As well we can, but we have no problem doing that as well to be able to support that process.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Councillor Deal.
Just on Maddie's final comment there. Someone's still gonna have to go in and clean regardless. It's going to have to be cleaned. So it's kind of a moot point as far as I'm concerned. Cleaning is cleaning. It's gotta be looked into regardless.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'm just going through you to staff. Was there a gun club was down there as well?
They were also using that space,
Tell me it was just Nerf guns and not 22s. They were using down there.
They had fake bullets, they found a few.
there's. I'm honestly not sure of the whole agreement that was in place for the gun club at the time, but they are no longer in that space as per the new policy. They've also removed anything they would have had down there and they're not using it.
Oh, Gordy.
Is it possible that the meeting room at the Brussels Arena could be used for their meeting space if it's bigger than what the library is?
Options we could explore.
You know which room I'm talking about upstairs there, Alvin, the meeting room?
Where the church is
I
in.
believe the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if the church meets on Monday, but I guess if we're telling them they can't meet in the basement. And the room upstairs at the Brussels library is a little bit too small, then maybe that room might be better fit for them. I don't know.
You're gonna have to see it, it's been a few years since I've seen it.
Just a suggestion.
Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, thank you very much for your presentation.
No problem. Here's your cookies.
Yeah, leave it right here.
Do I have a separate agenda for?
Good presentation.
With that.
Can I get a mover and a seconder to go into the public meeting? By Councillor Morrison, second by Councillor Newell, sorry. That the council of the municipality of Huron East during the regular meeting of council at 6:24 p.m. to go into a public meeting to discuss the following. A minor variance MV02 of 2026, the Nolan 44-394 Bridge Road. All those in favor? Motion carries. And can I get a mover and a seconder to accept the agenda? Councillor Chartrand and the deputy mayor, that the agenda for the public meeting dated February 24th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. All those in favor? Motion carries. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest for this portion of the meeting? Seeing none. Welcome, Shay.
Thank you, Rick. So yes, this is the presentation for minor variance MB 02/2026. Subject property is located at Ward 394 Bridge Road. And the owner applicant is Brady Nolan, who is in the gallery with us today. Go to the next slide, please. So just a quick aerial of the subject property here. So the property is the intersection of Manly Line and Bridge Road, just north of St. Columban. And next slide, please. So the application requests one variance to facilitate the development of a new shed and pool house on the property. And the requested variance is to reduce the exterior side yard setback from 17 meters to 10 meters. Subject property is designated agriculture and zoned HE4, the small holding agriculture. And next slide, please. So just got a bit of a site plan here showing the proposed addition building. So in blue is the proposed garage portion of the addition, and then behind that in red is the pool house. And next slide, please. And then just a couple images of the elevation renderings of the proposed addition. So the first image, we're looking north, or facing north toward the front of the building from Bridge Road. And then on the bottom corner image, we're just looking east towards the interior side of the building. From the interior property line. And next slide, please. Then just a couple site photos showing the approximate location of the proposed building location, which will be just to the side of the existing house. And next slide. In terms of comments received, we did receive a few comments from Huron staff. Notably, the building department did note that there is an accessory structure currently along the west lot line of the property, which was built without a building permit and does not appear to meet the required side yard setback for that building. So to address this, the building department just requested that the accessory structure be addressed through this application. So that means addressing the deficient side yard setback, and may require that a building permit or inspection be done just to ensure that that existing structure does comply with building code requirements. And then one more comment from the building department just noted that there's a little bit of uncertainty as to the existing septic system on the property meeting the required setbacks to the building location. So it's suggested that the nearest portion of the septic bed be exposed by a septic contractor just to confirm that the building location does in fact meet the required setbacks to the existing system. And then no other comments were raised by other agencies or members of the public. I'll go to the next slide. So it's a little bit hard to see, but I've just got a couple images of that existing structure that I was referencing. So you can see it is pretty close to the property line, which is roughly in line with the tree line there. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of policy review on the proposed variance that was requested currently with the application. So the application does meet the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The lands are zoned for residential use, which would include structures and accessory uses to the residential use. The variance proposed otherwise meets the provisions of the zoning bylaw and complies with the official plan. As I noted, that existing structure on the west side that does not appear to meet the required setback to the property line could be addressed through an amendment to this application to recognize the deficient lots setback to the lot there. Or alternatively, the owner could consider relocating that existing structure to comply. And then just going on the rest of the policy review, the variance is considered to be minor in nature and appropriate for the development of the lands. Reducing the exterior side yard here does not pose any safety or sightline issues in terms of road safety from either Manly Line or Bridge Road, and does maintain adequate setbacks to allow for access and maintenance to the buildings. I will note that there is an easement for the overhead hydro service along the east side of the property. The applicant was aware of this easement and the building is located outside of the hydro easement. There's no issues there. The variance is considered appropriate for the development of the lands. And there's an existing access off Manly Line, which is proposed to continue to use with the new garage door on the west side of the building. So as a result of the concerns that were raised by staff, I'm recommending that the application be deferred at this time, just to allow time to address concerns at existing accessory structure, which could include an amendment to the application to recognize it through this application as well. So I'm here for any questions on that.
Any questions from members of the council at this time? Any comments or questions from members of the public? There's none here and nobody online. Just skip the motion, okay. Any comments or questions from the applicant at this time?
Yeah, sure. I just want to say thanks for taking time to go through this today. I appreciate it and the work that you guys do. Kind of want to build this, mainly the pool, like the garage is kind of more for my wife, but the pool, I want to get it done before while the kids are still young, so they still have to hang out with me, I guess, and so I want to enjoy it when they're young and then that way maybe still have them when we have grandkids and things like that, because I've lived here my whole life and I'd like to continue to live here, so.
I know the building inspector's not here, but I'd like to ask a question of staff if they can answer it. I know if Brady files for a building permit, we're pretty good at getting them out there. They're received within 1 to 2 weeks. Once a building permit's received, I would still assume that occupancy permit would have to be granted because that's basically when you're confirming the building is up to code and everything else. And provided there are no issues with it, that could probably happen fairly quickly. Is that the most appropriate way to go about it? Or once the building permit is granted for the structure that's there, even though we still would expect an occupancy permit at some point, would that then allow him to move ahead with this? I don't know if there's anybody here that can answer the question. If not, that's what I'd like an answer to at some point. Councilor Short-Term?
Traditionally, and I know I built a big shed on my property in the last 4 or 5 years. There was never no need for an occupancy, only a final inspection. Brad came out and, because it was a shed, it wasn't a house like you're living in. But he came out and did the final inspection to make sure that it met intent, but there was never an occupancy document that I had to get for a shed. For the house, yes, but for the shed, no. I'm assuming it'd be the same thing with this shed, but again, that's a building department question, but sharing my own experience, I didn't need to have one.
Yes, okay, thank you. So at this point, if I can get a mover and a seconder to defer this application at this point, so we can address the other issues. Moved by Councillor Deal, second by Councillor Dalton. Any final comments or questions? Do we normally put a date on defer, or deferral is just until the applicant's ready to move to the next stage?
I think we can just bring it back once the issues raised have been resolved. In this case, it might require recirculation, so we'll look into that and that might dictate the timelines.
Okay. No other questions? All those in favor? And motion carries. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adjourn this portion of the meeting? Moved by Councillor Noah, or I do know a Noah. That's the problem.
It feels like Christmas out there.
He sits beside me a lot in county council. Councillor Newell, Councillor Fisher, all those in favor? Motion carried. We are down to municipal trainings, 9.1, the worst municipal drain tender results. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Deal, that the council of the municipality of Huron East award the contract associated with the, is it Rehorst? Is that how you pronounce it? Rehorst municipal drain to TAS Excavating and Rentals Limited for the amount of $213,474.44 plus HST. Comments or questions on the motion? Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How, was anybody else surprised that there was like $120,000 difference between the guesstimate by the engineer and the tender? I was,
Nice surprise.
what, like, how does this happen? Are they, this drainage company is up to snuff? As far as we know?
We have used them for many projects in the past, so they're reputable in our area.
Okay, thank you.
We've also seen them out of touch that way when we were pricing graders during COVID, Councillor Fisher. Deputy Mayor.
I was just gonna comment too. like Ken would have a look at this as well, right? The drainage superintendent, so he would have a look at it as well. He wouldn't recommend it if he didn't feel he could do the job either, so.
All the tenders are reviewed by our drainage superintendent as well as the engineers.
Well, I expected that, but I was just quite surprised. Thank you.
Councillor Chartran?
Yeah, every quote was way below the engineering estimate. Either he estimated too high or whatever.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Reports and recommendations of municipal officers and 10.1 restrictions of council lame duck provisions under the municipal act. We've all gone through it before. I did have a question, and please don't read anything into this. But during this time frame, because of the strong mayor's power,
Yeah,
if in fact, when it says you cannot remove a staff person, you can certainly remove your staff. Could the mayor remove the CAO if in fact there was deemed a need?
we have tried looking into that and the answer is unclear. So it's kind of just, there could be a conflict when using strong mayor during the restricted time. So I feel a lot of our municipalities are gonna be looking into that a little bit more deeply. And I think it has also been a question that's been raised at AMCTO, and that's kind of the still kind of broad answer we're receiving and not too much of a clear black and white answer. So I think that's a gray area we're all gonna be exploring now that we're bringing strong mayors into the election period.
It was the only thing that really
Mhm.
jumped out at me when I was reading through it. And I understand that these are the rules and regulations of the province and we've got to follow these. I just find that there's too much of a timeline for council to do regular business. If it was 30 days before the election that you couldn't spend money or do this or that, I'd be fine with that, but it's too much of a timeline. But anyways, the rules are the rules. Councillor Chartrand?
Taking the strong mayor out of the picture, traditionally, when we went into lame duck period, all of council, we couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So now we chatted, like this, what changes with strong mayor? Can he override that? I don't see that reading that package, but like Jeff said, it's an open question right now. Because to me, lame duck means you cannot make a decision.
Right.
During that period.
Yeah, if you are in lame duck in that situation, but it is the big question, yeah. I mean, the most obvious one would be hiring and dismissing of employees or maybe restructuring a department or something like that. And if you're taking away the position that has the delegated authority, there's a lot of
Yeah.
questions in
For
there
sure.
too, right?
Can I get a mover and a seconder for the report? The Council of Huron East consider a bylaw granting the chief administrative officer delegated authority in the event of a lame duck situation for a period as early as August 21st of 2026 to November 15th of 2026. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Dio and Councillor Chartrand. All those in favor? And motion carries. And Sean, you want some trucks?
Just one.
Price like two. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this motion? Moved by Councillor Deal, second by Councillor Fisher, that the council of the municipality of Huron East award the purchase of a 2027 tandem axle plow truck to Viking Sieves. Sieves. For the price of $403,015.39 inclusive of taxes and contingencies. And that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the deviation from the procurement policy to allow for sole sourcing to Viking Sieves through a new buying group membership. Comments or questions? All those, Councillor Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Sean, what else do we do besides push snow with this, monster?
We do regular road maintenance. The plow equipment comes off the truck and it's used for all types of construction, culvert replacements, paving repairs,
Do like
water main breaks. It's a dump truck.
is it, okay, that's what I.
Yeah.
It wasn't the description I'm used to, double axle, okay. Thank you very much.
If there's no other questions, all those in favor? And motion carries. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the purchase of mower? Councillor Chartrand, Deputy Mayor, that the council of the municipality of Huron East award purchase of a rear mounted roadside flail mower to Colboy Equipment for the price of 35,760.88 inclusive of net taxes and contingencies. And that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the budget variance of $760.88 funded from equipment reserve as necessary. And that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve a deviation from the procurement policy requiring tenders for purchases over $5,000. Sean, I guess the first question is, you had it in your report that you've talked to other municipalities about this particular piece of equipment and it seems to stand out better.
That's correct.
How many people in the county use it, do you know?
The South Huron and the contractor for Central Huron use this type of mower. The contractor that is used for Central Huron also does ACW. Notably the longevity of the equipment. It's like an industrial piece of equipment. Opposed to what we had deployed for the last 2 years, which was more of an agricultural use equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To follow up on that, and I had much the same questions. I guess I was kind of worried since it was coming from Cortland, I believe it was, just the repairs and maintenance on that and obviously parts.
Most of that repair and maintenance on the roadside mower, including the one that we have, is done internally by staff.
Okay,
So it would just be like obtaining the parts, right? Which, you know, in the past, the current mower was purchased through McRoberts. We would still need to wait for them to bring parts in before we fix the current mower. So the process won't be any different.
if I could just follow up. So warranty, is there warranty on this? I wonder?
There will be on certain parts of it, realizing that the mower has a lot of wearing parts on it. Now, when you talk about warranties, with anything, it's how it's used, right? So if you hit something with it, it's pretty tough to gain a lot of warranty out of that, right? But if there was a significant, like, if we were noticing like weld issues or something like that on the equipment, that's something that we would address with the manufacturer. Yeah.
Well, I know I searched it on the internet just to see what it was, and yeah, you're right. It looks like it's a bit of a beast compared to the other ones.
That's correct.
So I can see why you wanted to go that way.
Yeah.
So thank you for those answers.
Councillor McGrath.
Did we, on the accounts, is that the more, we repair our old mower? There's an account, there's a number for more repair, is that?
In
When we're getting rid of in the accounts, more repair.
the more repair that's in the accounts payable.
Yeah.
Was that like a November payable maybe, possibly? It would have been end of the year. Like, so that at the end of last year, if we had to repair the mower, then that invoice would have come from. Not exactly sure what invoice you're talking about, but if, say we had it repaired
But
by like John Offshore or somebody,
Yeah.
like it could have been at the end of the last cutting season.
So we still need the more than, I guess, my point.
Yes.
My concern was that we paid,
No,
end of the season, we fixed the mower up and then we're turning around, we're gonna get rid of it anyways. so-
no, the current mower that we have requires. Probably close to $5,000 worth of repairs on a mower that we purchased for $15,000. So, it just doesn't hold up. It'll be hold up like through gov deals or something like that when we purchase the new one.
So being that this is a industrial, I know. The policy we put in place when was going to do roadside cutting. Was going to be a more replacement every, 2 or 3 years, whatever.
Every three.
So now, is this gonna change? Is it gonna lengthen it out now instead of every 3?
Well, we didn't get to 3 years with the current one. We limped to the end of 2 years.
Okay,
So we are anticipating 3 years with this, maybe longer, and that's what our neighbors are seeing. We're seeing 3 years, and those mowers are still in good shape. Whereas the ag mowers that we purchased initially just didn't last. Like, it's just too many hours and too much rough conditions for the mower that we had.
Yeah, the point I wanna make is like, when we're budgeting we budget every 2 or 3
Yep.
years. So if you can pay more for the more if you're gonna get 6 years out of it.
Yeah.
Versus your 3 years. So we're coming up with.
So-
Question again.
There's, did I get him over in a second? Yes, I did. If there's no other questions, I'll. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Question I have for you, Sean. So the price that we've got here for this, as much as it's over budget, we still haven't taken out what you could get on gov deals or something like that, correct?
What do you mean by that? Like for the older mower?
Yeah,
I don't know what the value of the old mower will fetch. That kind of depends on the people that are looking at the time that you put it in. It's not in the greatest shape.
but it might be more than $760.
It may be more than 700.
You already saved that on the document. If there's no other questions, all those in favor? Motion carries. Ontario Trillium Foundation, grant under the Community Investment Capital Grant. Lisa's here to answer questions. Are there any questions from council on this? There's no location that's been determined, eh, Lisa? Or there is a location determined? I didn't catch that.
Not 100% dedicated, but we have a pretty good idea of where we would like to have it.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, you're asking for a grant of 2, municipality put in 1, and 1 from the community? Was that what I read?
No, a grant of 200,000 and
Right,
100,000 from a community organization.
It's only.
and there's still 100 left over. Wasn't it a 400? Yeah, so 2, 1 and 1.
Sorry, yeah, I made that was a correction. It should be a correction. It's $300,000 project so far.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so the grant, the maximum you can apply for the trim is 200,
okay,
so that's where we're at. So I'm trying to shave it down to.
Okay.
Less, but that's the trim grant is for 200,000.
can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Chartrand, Councillor Dalton, that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the submission of an application to the Ontario Trillium Foundation to request financial support to create inspiring useful spaces within the municipality. All those in favor? And the motion carries. West Perth Fire Service Agreement. Can I get a mover and a seconder to put on the floor? Councillor Fisher, Councillor Morrison, that the council of the municipality of Huron East consider the fire service agreement between the municipality of Huron East and the municipality of West Perth for the provision of fire protection services to the identified fire area within West Perth. Comments or questions of council? I take it they had you as part of this discussion, Steve?
Yep.
Okay, and it sounds like staff would appreciate doing it this way. It's just easier to track and invoice.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The old way wasn't very efficient, so.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, inventory management software. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Newell, that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the purchase of an inventory management software system to be utilized by the Seaforth, Gray and Brussels fire stations. I did have a question. I don't remember the number. It was close to $7,000 a year you paid for the software.
Yes.
I don't know what all we're tracking, but I guess my concern is, you know, even over one term of council, we're getting close to $30,000. And I'm not trying to belittle whatever we're trying to keep track of, but what couldn't you do on a spreadsheet?
It's more so the notifications, so let's take the ICB, for instance. They have a 2-page checklist after every use, after every check. If there's any deficiencies whatsoever with that, it's tracking those deficiencies is the problem. And It's notifying the proper people that this is the problem. Say not just this month, but also 3 months from now, that same SCBA might be given the same problem. If the right people are constantly looking at it and remembering those. Things slip through the cracks very easily, and with the fire service, we have a lot of those pieces, and the SCBA's being probably the most vital one. We can't have it. So, it also goes down to our MTO checks, truck checks, medical bags, I guess keeping everything so that we don't have expired equipment in it, and then we have notification that defib pads are being bought on time because there was a point where we couldn't get defib pads quick enough, so. That this software notifies me and the said person in each station of any issues, so. That makes any sense to anybody?
Well, and the software may be worth every penny, and the only. 25 years ago, we didn't pay for subscriptions in anything in computer software, the municipality. And we pay a fortune every year now, and I always wonder if there's just another way to do it, but. If in fact it basically replaces almost half a person just for notifications and tracking things, that's a different story.
Paper copy is not efficient, especially if for some reason you ever get audited by the MTO, or not MTO, but Ministry of Labor. We need to have very good tracking records, and having a stack of paper in a fire station like this, of our SCBA's, is not efficient. And to scan all that, put it on our server is not done very quickly either, so.
Right. It still takes a lot of time. Okay. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through this, Steve. And I guess my concern a little bit was the cost too. Is this used in all other fire departments as well?
So we are trying to get ahead of a lot of our neighbors. I have discussed with other departments that are using this, Caledon Fire. They walked me through it all. I was away with them. They showed me how they use it. It works very well for them. There's some other companies that other fire departments close by they use as well. But I find a lot of the excuse me, my focus is so expensive. A lot of the fire departments around here run into the same issues, so they're looking for things to track, do better tracking as well. So we're all kind of in the same boat. We're just trying to get ahead right now, so. Ourselves.
Can this program be shared with other municipalities?
No, so this is a per user fee, so the less users we have, the fee drops. It's no different than our education software as well. Our education software is based on per user, so.
Any other questions? Councilor Deal.
Thank you. So this is yearly, it's $7,500.
Yes.
There's
also
1,500
side. 6,500 a year.
Pardon me?
6,500 a year. We do have a one-time setup fee, so we have to take all of our assets and put them in there, and that's what that one-time setup fee is gonna be. We have a lot of those assets on Excel right now. We will hand that over to them at that time, and they'll take it from there, send it to the whole for us.
And my other question was similar to the deputy mayors. I didn't know whether county could initiate something like this and have it used countywide, but if it's per user,
Per user, so.
that would have been handier.
Like I said, our education, we did that, and it's free. Not made any cheaper, fortunately.
And it really looks suspicious when the county doesn't have a fire department.
Well, I guess, yeah.
All those in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Fire apparatus for replacement process. We might have a question or two on this one too. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Fisher moved, he's at an auction, he's first. Councillor Chartrand second, that the council of the municipality of Huron East approve the fire apparatus replacement process as detailed in a report FD 2605, and that council approve the commencement of the process for 2 fire engines due to be replaced in 2028 and 2029 at approximately $1 million as noted in the 10-year capital plan. My first question, Steve, was if you have to basically get your tender out, and it's 3 years in advance. How do they spec the truck?
That's what we're doing. So that's what I'm bringing forward to you, is we are putting a committee together that is across all three stations, and we are building a RFP or our RFT to spec that truck, and then how we go about that.
I'm not talking about the equipment, the compartments, the hoses, anything else. That I understand. You guys already have that down pat. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the actual vehicle from the
Yeah.
manufacturer.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to spec a vehicle that's not gonna be built for 2 years from GM that hasn't even started it.
So the fire service is full of this, that's what they do, so, they have these options, and once we decide, they hold those up, those specs, like they're. They're 3 years out on every apparatus out there, right now. So it's not like. I don't know, I don't know how to really answer that one, so.
So for the company that's gonna build the equipment for you, once they've spec the truck. And let's assume it's a Freightliner, just for.
Yeah.
Argument's sake.
Yep.
So Freightliner will build it to today's spec because that's all they could work off for their blueprints?
Fire truck specs don't change that much, they won't be necessarily a Freightliner, ours would be a Spartan or an E1, and that is, fire engine specific
Okay.
specs. So, that makes any sense there, right?
Okay, Councilor Chartrand.
So you get the specs out to the supplier.
Yep.
So does he price it out the first year? Do you give him those specs, and does that price stay
Yes.
for 3 years until the truck's delivered?
Yes.
So it's not gonna go up each year.
No, so when we put it out, whether we go through Canoe or we tender, or however we go about it, the moment you sign off on that, that is a firm price, and it stays that way for 3 years. Until it's done.
That was my only question I had.
Councilor Deal was next.
That was my question.
Councilor
Thank you.
Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that $1,000,000, that's 500 each truck, I hope.
Nope.
That's what I was afraid of.
You ain't getting any fire trucks anymore for 500, unfortunately.
Man. Thank you.
Any other questions before we call the motion? Councilor McGrath.
More comment than a question. We were struggling with budget a while ago. You're gonna spend another million in 27 and another million in 28, just in the fire department. Software equipment we're buying. You aren't gonna get away at 2 or 3 or 4% of rates and taxes, that's all I'm gonna say, because. I mean, and I question, of course, old school is maybe like it's time for me to go, I get that, I gotta get the hell out of here, because I'm old fashioned and I don't like spending money, but. I mean, it just seems we're replacing equipment because. Somebody a few years ago put on the books, it should be replaced by such and such a date, and now we're going with that date, well. These fire trucks don't go out every day. If this fire truck was in London or Toronto, going the road every day, in and out. I get it, I understand that, but. You know. For the sound of not being cheap, I guess I'm trying to be cheap, but the budget. Well. Brace yourself, that's all I can tell you. Thank you for your time.
Councilor McGrath, I agree with you because of the usage that we get. I think what I've heard more often than not from the fire service is that it's not that they even have a problem with a vehicle that's 25 years old. Problem is when something breaks down, sometimes you can't get the parts for a vehicle that's 25 years old.
So if I can add to that, our frontline engines are a little more specific, so they're 20-year, is recommended at NFPA standards that we change them. So this truck, the 2 trucks that they're replacing are actually an 07 and an 08. We're not getting rid of those trucks. Those trucks will move back into another role in the fire service. We're just replacing our frontline engine. So, for instance, I believe there's gonna be an 04 truck getting moved out instead. So when you say we're replacing that truck, that's not necessarily correct. We're moving asphalt, but we are still keeping that truck. It's just our frontline trucks have to be 20 years and less. They're more apt to fail after that 20 years, the pumping and everything else, right? So.
Where's that rule, 20-year rule come from?
NFPA standards. unfortunately.
Maybe they need to kick in.
That was quiet enough, the mic didn't catch it. Councilor Sharp.
What's the difference between a front end truck and then the 2004 that you want to get rid of?
So in every station, you have to have minimum pumping capacity in a station. That is considered your frontline engine. So, for instance,
So we have those now, but we're not replacing those.
so the ones that we're replacing are our larger trucks. But why can't we move that newer 20-year-old truck back to replace a secondary engine that we have in the station? So for instance, the one here in Seaforth would probably end up moving to Apple to replace an old 4 secondary engine that's there that needs to be replaced anyways. So
Okay.
then that truck doesn't get replaced for another 5 to 8 years. And we're saving ourselves in that replacement.
Yeah.
That-
Okay.
we do have a very good schedule built that was built by all the officers in the department, and we are sticking within our capital plan for the next 10 years.
Then my question to staff is how much, and I guess that he's not here, how much between now and those 3 years is going into reserves for this?
I couldn't tell you that offhand, what's in the reserve amounts, it's part of the capital plan that would have been in the budget package
Yeah,
that they had in the.
The price could, depending on how much reserves that we have there by then, will determine how much we have to
Mhm.
come up with difference, right?
Well, in fairness, staff are only asking for permission to go ahead with the RFP.
Yeah.
The check's not being
Yeah,
passed as of right now. This is just to start the process.
Yeah.
To get the ducks in a row.
Yes, it's just so nobody's surprised if you're seeing an RFP or notifications out that we're building this truck and. Well, it's not coming for budget this year, so there's no surprises around council saying, why
Right.
are they putting a truck out? We didn't approve a truck for a council or budget, because it's not planned until another.
It'll be the
2 to 3
next
years.
council, anyway.
Councilor Deal.
It's just. That truck's not good enough for frontline, but it's good enough to bring up the rear. You're still gonna have a problem getting parts at the end of the day.
we don't have a problem getting parts. That's not the issue. You can get the parts. It's the standard that we have to comply with. And it's no different than our PPE that we had an issue with 5 years ago that we had to spend a lot of money on. Our PPE wasn't within that 10-year frame. Doesn't mean it's garbage at 10 years. It's non-compliant now.
It's the
It's
rules.
unfortunate with fire service. It's that way with a lot of things, so.
When we were told in the past that, and I do believe it was at Seaforth, that we had a truck that we couldn't get parts for, it was never the pump or anything like that. Pumps can easily be replaced, not easily, but they can, if the truck is still good, yes. But it was actually parts for the truck itself that were no longer in stock by the manufacturer.
So the ones we're replacing are trucks that are out and about, like, this truck here that we're gonna be replacing, we have the exact same truck in Apple, that's a 2023. It's a Spartan cab, or chassis, it has a majority of the same parts. They haven't changed from that much, there might be some, but there's no issue with getting parts back. I'm fixing some things on that right now.
And that kind of makes sense, Steve, because now you have, as you say, they've got a model and they're gonna build that model for the next few years, and that's why you can price it ahead.
Yep.
But 25 years ago, we went out and bought a Freightliner, or we bought something from GM or Ford or whatever, and then built whatever we wanted on it. It's not done that way.
No. And one other thing I wanna add, one of these trucks will be for Morris Turnberry as well. They're that Russell station, so it will be shared with that cost there as well, so that I'll have to drop.
Break the news to them.
We felt heifer for a couple years.
They got the old chads, okay, they're used to us.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor of the motion? And motion carries. The Seaforth Fire Siren, this is to do with the hybrid, right? Yeah. Can I get a mover and a seconder, and then we'll make the decision on which one it is? Counselor Deal, Deputy Mayor. And so the council listed a couple options in there. And the bottom line is, I agree with council's or staff's decision to go with number two, because the bottom line is you don't have any expense at the moment other than taking your siren down off the pole that's there. And if in fact we do end up putting a siren up in the future, it may not need to be up on a pole like that. It could be something completely different. So why would we bother investing in a pole going forward? So unless anybody disagrees with that, I need a motion for option two. Was that a question, Councilor McGrath?
That's a question, not a question, just more a comment, and the comment is, when you take that siren down, I got $1 million that says you will never put it back on.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I do not disagree with you.
That's just the final nail in the coffin for the people that want it. First they had shut it off and now it's coming down, so, yeah. But again, just your comment, thank you for your time.
And every month that goes by that we don't have it, it does become less of an issue also.
Well, I've heard quite a few times.
What's
Did
your
I-
number?
It's listed. Did I have a second over here, Councillor Deal? Any final comments or questions? So that was moved by Councillor McGrath, second by Councillor Deal, and it's option number two. All those in favor? And motion carries. Correspondence, unfinished business, council reports. Deputy Mayor, yes, sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have 2 or 3 different county meetings I'm gonna go through with you. On February the 4th, we had first off, we had a report on the Huron Clean Water Project, the annual report. In the last 20 years, that's how long it's been going. They've issued 4,325 different projects during that time. There was $5.7 million paid out over that time as well. So for every dollar invested by the Huron Clean Water Project, it was matched with $2.66 being spent in Huron County. So that was good return on there. We got a report from Clerk Susan Cronin concerning the coyote control. The bylaw was our bylaw was amended, so municipalities have the authority now to extend the distance. Currently, it's at 10 kilometers of the kill, a livestock kill, and the time limit as well. And that time limit is 6 weeks. So that's kind of fluid, but it leaves the power up to us if we want to change them to items we can do. So that's some information for you as well. So February the 11th was our budget day at the county. Staff, we started with I think it was 9.7 or 9.8 increase. That's what we're looking at. Staff went through the different departments and then come up with a savings of $641,000, bringing the rate down to 8.77. Couple of the buzzwords at the county lately has been affordability and core services. Having said that, then we had a list put in front of us, and this list was created by administration for some items that are not mandatory that county should be doing. They're judge up to county council to decide on that. The first one was court security in Godrich. Currently, right now, we're putting as a county $200,000 into that because the court services security, I should say, at the county has went up. And we've noticed that as well, because we now have police at the door when we come in, metal scanners, et cetera, et cetera. So we started last year was the very first year, because Godrich right now is footing the bill on this. So county decided that we would throw in $200,000 because that's roughly what Godrich was coming up short to provide these services at the courthouse. The next one, we have been currently giving the YMCA a grant for $50,000. That money went towards helping single family households, low income households, to provide different things as far as programs and stuff that kids could be enrolled in that and help pay for some of them fees. Swimming, hockey, et cetera, and it's used throughout the county, I believe. Bernie, was it not? I think it was a description. The Huron County Food Bank as well. The county currently right now every year gives $66,000 to that food bank. That's something else that the county does. We don't have to do it, but we currently do. Huron Clean Water that I just talked about. Right now for this year, we were going to commit $400,000 out of the levy to fund that. So that's up for grabs. The HECDEV sled grant for $90,000. That's another item that we don't have to do, but currently we do. Public Works Consulting for Highway 83. Currently, right now, we have $60,000 in that to do that. We don't have to do that. There was 14 non-union positions at the county listed that we could possibly cut out. So that would be a savings of 1.6 million doing that. Huron Lee parking lot in Brussels. We would like to expand the parking lot there so that the extra staff we have there now, because of the extended care hours that we have to provide to the residents. So we need more parking spots. That was $214,000 recommended for that. The ECDEV board itself, $21,500. We don't have to do that, but it's well, I guess maybe we do have. We found that we do have to do that. But anyway, it's still up for discussion, and we could carve that out. One of the testy things that's been at county council is the roundabout on Highway 83 and Airport Line. It's a $3.2 million project, and we can take that out. We've had lots of discussion on this. It was decided, I guess, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Bob.
Yeah, 6, 7.
So, I guess the frustrating part for me, and I'm going to say it, is this project is already paid for. So it is. The money's there, so there would be no taxation on the levy at all to do this project. But I think council has already kicked it down the road for another year. So that is just some of the things we're working at. It's been a tough sledding, and I don't think anything has really been decided yet, other than we plan on funding the food bank, the Huron County Food Bank. The YMCA grant, I believe, was cut. The court security is still in yet, that we're going to fund that, but the budget isn't passed yet either, so who knows where it's gonna go from here. So if anybody has any questions on that, that's been our life for the last while. So it has been.
Any questions from county council?
I still have some more to go. but-
Okay, I want to share what I brought up the other day, but you go ahead.
What is it about this? Because we can finish that. All I wanted to say was, I think, February the 18th, we did receive a report from the Huron County Food Bank. So they come and spoke to us and broke it down how our $66,000 is spent every year. And mostly all that money goes into transportation to get the food moved around the county, between their insurance, their fuel, and repairs. This funding helps move more than 1.4 million pounds of food throughout the county. And they take it to 40 different agencies, such as food banks, schools, and rural villages without grocery stores. The volume of the food delivered has doubled since 2019. So that tells you how much food is being moved around. And I think that's about it, other than that we went into closed session for, it seemed like, half the day. So Bernie, I'll leave it to you.
Thank you for that report. I brought up something that I thought was a no-brainer. And I was really disappointed because I didn't ask for anything but a report. And the interesting thing is that staff actually gather all this information every single year. And all I asked was that they bring the report forward and that the treasurer calculate it with 3 different numbers so we can look at it. So 2 weeks ago, Jessica was there also. We had a 6-hour workshop on homelessness. And I'll tell you, that was an amazing day. And I always understood the need of the work that we do, never understood as deeply of what goes into trying to deal with the situations that we have in the county. The best thing that happened was every table that was there, and you had to move around to different tables, I think 3 times throughout the day, and work with different people on different problems. And any table I was at, I was the only politician at the table. So there was at least 6 or 7 people that work in the field, and not just from Huron County. There was some other agencies that were there. So you really got an opportunity to understand what they're dealing with and where the money goes. And there was one whole session where we technically were given $1 million, and here's what it costs to run each of these programs. Try and figure out where you would spend it so you're actually going to get your best bang for your buck. And there were some obvious answers, but those obvious answers didn't fix anybody that's got a problem right now. So there was things that just didn't make sense. So I came up with an idea and I brought it to Jess first because I wanted to know if it was even possible. So what I was going to suggest was to keep the cost of homelessness off the property tax bill, that we have Parkland Reserve. We have $750, I think, on every new lot created. Well, as your population grows, you've got more of a chance for homelessness because you've got more of a population. They do correlate to some extent. So I said, for every time we had a new lot, add $100 to it. It's a one-time charge that person had to pay. We've tried for years to figure out how to get contractors to build less expensive houses to get people into houses they could actually afford and live with. So I said, why don't we take the building permit process, add 0.1%. You build a $300,000 house. It costs the contractor or the person that buys the house $300. You want to build a $2 million home? Fine, go ahead. If you got the money, it's going to cost you $2,000, but all of that money goes towards the homelessness program. Now, the advantage is that if in fact they had been willing to accept the report and see the numbers, chances are you'd have reduced the property taxes because we'd have raised more of the money than it even costs for what we're paying through our municipality. So, and maybe council isn't interested in it at all, but I'm wondering if, since they weren't interested in, could we technically lower our property taxes by incorporating something similar? And the reason is this: the county will be able to tell us what percentage of the money that we give them every year to run the services that are provided, what amount of that is actually going towards the homelessness programs. And there's a lot. So if we were to do the same thing, and in fact, I bet you for what we would have to raise through Huron East to cover all those expenses would be less than 0.1%. Because last year, I think our building permits came to $42 million, which would raise $420,000. We wouldn't need to be anywhere near that. In fact, it might be 0.0001, which would mean almost nothing to anybody getting a building permit or severing a lot. And that way, whatever monies we had to give to the county could come out of that fund. They can legally come out of that fund. It's technically called a development charge. I had Jess do some research. And why wouldn't we consider doing it? Anyways, we don't have to pass any motion tonight, but our building inspector and certainly the county can tell us how many lots we had subdivided in the last year in Huron East. They could just bring the information back and we could review it and see if it's something worth doing. Because if we end up taking anywhere between, I don't know how much we paid the county each year, was it $5,000 or $6,000 or $1 million?
For like the planning fees and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, for everything that's in there. So, you know, if we were to take a couple $100,000 out of the Huron East budget, and the nice part is it's never on your property taxes. It's a one-time charge just when you're doing something new and you're off the hook after that too. Councillor Deal.
So did county give you an explanation why they didn't want to be involved in that?
Only one person spoke up, and that person said he had told somebody that is hoping to build in their municipality that they don't do development charges, and so any talk about anything that could be called a development charge, he wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. And that same councillor has talked up in the past when the county staff had other ideas about how the county could get into building the less expensive homes. And that person spoke up and said, my son-in-law builds homes, I don't want this to happen. So the unfortunate part is, I said, let's not even have the debate now. All I'm asking for is a report. And I didn't look around the room to see who said yay or nay. And it doesn't matter if it passed, but it didn't. So I can't answer any other questions.
Interesting.
Deputy.
I was, myself, I was worried about the agriculture community. For charges on building permits.
And that's why I didn't want to nail down the details of how we would go ahead with it. That's why I said, all I want is the report. And you can have whatever discussion you want after the fact, but let's get the information.
Right, I think part of the research I did, it's a community benefit charge that you would be applying, so you'd have a bylaw and there are parameters too that you would have to apply it to do that community benefit charge, so it would be a lot of new developments, similar to parkland and whatnot. So not quite development, but community benefit, and you can apply it to those different areas, and homelessness or affordability would be one of those areas that it could be applied to.
And I don't want to drag it out, and Councillor Fisher has a question for me. But we donate to a few things such as the soup, Saturday Soup Bob, is that what it's called?
Super Saturday?
Super Saturday. We donate free, the use for the food bank, things like that. There are times that we raised money through building permits. And building permits are only supposed to cover their own costs. So could there be costs offset so that the municipality was actually getting something for the services they're providing? I'm not talking about cutting back the services. I'm talking about, could we use some of the funds for that, which would again help offset property tax.
And it's actually good timing because we're doing the building rate study review, so that's also something that I could roll through to our consultant to see if they've even had that approach before too.
Okay, Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what you're proposing is if the $1 in taxes, that 24% goes to the education and 33 say goes to the county. You would have Mike at the county figure out how much social services takes that 33% each year. Or 33 cents, whatever.
Yep.
And then we would use this fund that Jessica just described to pay that.
Exactly. So if in fact, let's just say for easy figuring, we pay $200,000 a year towards the county's budget of homelessness.
Out of the 33% or whatever.
Yeah, which is an easy number for
Yep.
them to figure out because all their departments are divided up.
Yep.
Then that 200,000, instead of raising it from our property tax base, we would just take the money from the building permits to cover it.
But when, what is it to reduce the county tax bill by 1%? Is it 400,000?
About 5.
It's 5 now?
Yeah.
Ouch. Okay. Thank you.
That was my comment for county council. I was a little frustrated just because people wouldn't even consider it. I didn't ask for the discussion, but anyways. They keep asking you to think outside the box to figure out how to balance the budget, but they don't like the ideas that come. Next we have, are there any other boards, committees, meetings, or seminars that anybody attended they would like to share? Councillor Sharkman.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment, I guess you could call it a meeting, but I attended the job fair this weekend that was held up at the Seaboard Arena. I was there representing the Legion, trying to get new members to join and volunteers, and I gotta say, staff, Carolyn and staff did a super job. That place was packed. They had 39 tables, something like that. And what was really nice to see was how many young people came there with resumes in hand, going job to job and handing their resumes out. It's a great thing. I mean, not just for the people looking for jobs, but for the businesses in the area. So there was a lot of staff there. It was a great, it's got bigger and bigger each year. It's that third year for that? Third year. And we had to put more tables up for it. So hats off to staff. Did a great job with that this weekend.
Okay, thanks for that report. Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to remind anybody that wanted to attend the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority annual general meeting. It is tomorrow at 2 o'clock in Blythe at the theater. So weather depending, I guess, but if anybody has a chance to pop in, that'd be great.
Counselor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Coldest night of the year. 10 o'clock, Bethel Bible Church, Saturday morning. Please come out.
See you there. Are there any requests by members at this point? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you could just give me a little leeway here. Yes, I was a little confused about the budget being passed. I know at our last meeting when we had the budget, you asked for a motion to pass it. You didn't get it second, so it didn't pass. I was assuming,
It was 2 meetings ago.
well, the last time we talked about it anyway, thank you
Okay.
very much. So, but anyway, so the budget's never come up since, so I was assuming we were coming back to get it voted on, because it didn't pass that time. No, I was assuming, so I didn't understand the new strong mayor's power. I was assuming we're gonna have a little bit more discussion about it, but anyway, it's passed, that's fine. That being said, there was 2 items I was hoping that we had more discussion on. One is the tractor budgeted for the Russell Cemetery. I've heard from the people suggesting not to buy it and not put the cemetery farther in debt. But yet speaking with the people involved in prepping the grave for burials, they tell me that the hydraulics on the old tractor are weak and the bucket itself is not big enough. All I ask is for a discussion on other options on buying this $40,000 tractor and loader, only with the possibility of having it sit for 4 months of the year, not doing anything. Maybe a contractor, maybe we could rent a tractor, even buy a used tractor. There's lots of used tractors with good loaders on for less than $10,000. I just was hoping we could have some more discussion, and I don't expect a board member to provide his own equipment to do this task. Secondly, was concerning the Cranbrook Hall roof. Alan Fritz sent out from the hall board, he sent out a letter back before Christmas, saying that the board never asked for a new roof. There was a small leak in the roof, but the board addressed that leak themselves. Also, there was a report done on the structure that again, they never asked for. The question and discussion, are we going to ask the committee themselves to pay for half of this? Or is Huron East going to pay for it? So I just hope we can get some discussion on that, because both items were in the budget and the budget is now passed.
Okay, I can't answer the question about the roof. Oh, go
I
ahead.
can answer some of them. So in terms of the tractor, that is something that we're already looking at. The only reason it was carried over is that was in the budget previously, so we had to carry it over into 2026 with the assumption, but we have been looking at different options for contractors and various usage based off of our last conversations with that. So we're hoping we'll have something more concrete coming forward soon, which you'll see those figures and what that might look like. So it might not take up the full amount that we have budgeted for. It's kind of a placeholder. The roof is similar. It was already budgeted at an amount with the last budget, so carried it over. There was an issue. John had looked at it and he had noted that it's a bigger issue than just a leak, which is what prompted to have to get an actual review of the structure, which prompted that report. So it is recognized that the committee may not have asked for the report, but if we're aware that the roof is not in good standing and may have an engineer that needs to look at it, it's our responsibility to do that as well as the owners of the building. Our plan, we provided the report to the committee. I am hoping that we can go to the committee to get their feedback, because it does come with a significant cost to get their feedback on what this looks like, to get their input. I don't believe there would be an expectation that they would fundraise. It's a high cost and it is a roof, but the decision would have to come back to council on what council wants to do with that building, essentially. Do you want to put the funds at a high dollar amount into the building, or what do you want to really have the outlook of that building look like? So that is a future discussion coming.
Perfect.
Again, it was because it was in the capital budget. It's carried forward until there's a decision on what we need to do with that.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much for this.
Yeah, and certainly since I've always understood that the amount that's passed in the budget for a piece of equipment is no different than the truck coming through tonight, is that council always gets notification when a decision is made. And since staff is looking at different options, hopefully that information before the final decision is made can just be brought back, so council's aware of whatever we're gonna do.
And that's all I was hoping for. I just didn't want to show up some night and have tenders here to buy a tractor for the cemetery, that's all. So,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
Any other requests by members at the moment? None, okay. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none. Counselor Fisher to provide opening remarks to his motion. So you did have a notice of motion, Counselor Fisher. And I'll read your motion for you first. Whereas council has identified that the current municipal grant program is not meeting the expectations of council. Now therefore be it resolved that council forms an ad hoc committee to consider the current municipal grant program and potential recurring community supports items to be included in the budget. Go ahead, Bob.
Thank you. Yeah, over the years, I've found this budget, this grant program. I just, it's beyond me how much time we spend on it and et cetera, et cetera. I really would like to see it gone, but I don't think that would pass. That's why I made the notice of motion. If we could have 3 or 5 of us come up with a better way of dispensing funds. I don't know what that way would be. I've talked to Blue Water and South Huron and Central Huron, and they Blue Water does something similar to us, and Central Huron and South Huron are totally different. So there's lots of options out there. But that and I had hoped that the fellow councillor members had some thoughts tonight too to put forward. But I'm thinking again, 3 to 5 councillors, and this is February, and come up with something 3 months.
Okay,
Is suitable or acceptable to the council.
okay, so this is moved by Counselor Fisher. Do I have a seconder for this? Counselor Deal. I'm gonna recommend right off the bat, Deputy Mayor. And Counselor Fisher, who raised the motion, sit on it. And this would not necessarily be a bad committee to have an even number. Because the bottom line is you want to make sure the majority of the people, now, the committee doesn't make the final decision anyways.
Okay.
But if the majority of the committee, more than just one person over half, agrees this is the right way to go, then chances are when it gets back to council, there won't be as much discussion. They'll understand what's being expressed. I'd be asking for 2 more members that are willing to sit on it. And whether I'm right or wrong, I'm gonna suggest, because we have 1 council member that has applied for grants in the past, it would be inappropriate for me to appoint that person to the committee. The committee should be of people that are just trying to figure out a good system, not how it might affect them personally. Are there any other volunteers for this? I'd like to have 2 more. Councillor Chartrand and Councillor Dalton. Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Chartrand.
Yeah, our current plan that we have now, if you recall, a year and a half ago, we debated this, and if my memory serves me right, we even had a special meeting just to talk about grants. And this was the first time, or year, I guess this year was the first time it actually came into effect. So now, what would be, if we didn't change it, what would be the date that we would now be accepting grants for the 2027 budget?
September and October, I believe.
Yeah, it opens in September.
So,
The dates would remain the same if the policy is not
right,
adjusted.
I personally didn't have a problem with the current policy because it's out there for everybody to apply. And ultimately, this council had the decision who would get what and how much. But if there's a better idea, I guess we can talk about that in the committee, but I don't feel we really gave our new policy a real chance to actually see how it would actually work out.
Which is fair. I'm gonna say, at least from my perspective, and maybe from other members of the council, is that when it was set up, there was kind of an assumption of who would be applying based on historical requests that we've had in the past. And we didn't get those. And we were kind of surprised at what we got. And it didn't pan out to we didn't seem to fix the problem we thought we were fixing, I think is what it really came down to. So,
I think part of the problem may be that those groups really didn't know, and speaking from experience from the Huron East Community Development Trust, we followed this, basically the same plan that we put in place here. The only difference is we personally contacted everyone who ever applied for a grant and said, here's the new policy, here's the dates. Got to be in by the end of March, we'll approve them in April. So they knew exactly, and so that they applied again the following year, because we personally contacted everyone who ever asked us for a grant. And maybe that was the reason why some of the other groups didn't apply this time around, because maybe they weren't aware. I don't know.
well, my understanding is staff sent notification out to anybody that had applied in the past that they expected to apply for a grant again, so that they were aware of the system.
I don't know how they got that,
But
whether a letter or. I don't know.
okay, I'm gonna let the committee have their discussions. They can certainly ask staff to give them whatever supporting information they need. Debate it. You guys will have to, on your own, decide when you want to have the meeting. Let staff know. They can have someone there to assist and see what you come back to the council. So we have a motion in place. All those in favor?
And who are the people on the committee?
Yourself, Councillor Fisher, Councillor Dalton, and the deputy mayor. Are there any announcements to be made at this time? Seeing none, we are down to bylaws. Can I get a mover and a seconder for, I'm gonna speed this one. Bylaw 91. And I hope everybody read them. Moved by Councillor Deal, second by Councillor Dalton. And this is bylaw 91 of 2025 as per it is printed in the agenda. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? And motion carries. Can I get a mover and a seconder for bylaw 12 of 2026? Councillor Chartrand, Councillor Morrison. Any comments or questions on the bylaw? All those in favor of accepting as it is printed in the agenda? Motion carries. Motion for bylaw 22 of 2026. Mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Dalton. And are there any questions on this bylaw?
Everybody else can look at their computer, Mr. Mayor.
Oh.
You remind me what those are, please.
Okay, this
Thank
is
you.
that it hereby resolved the bylaw 22 of 2026, a bylaw to authorize debentures in the Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation. Does that help?
For the
I can't remember if I asked Megan about that one or not. I asked
This
about
is the
that.
Brussels Fire Hall.
Okay, yeah, okay, got it, thank you.
Okay.
Remember you lost your drawer right there?
Yep. No, not me.
How did you forget that?
All those in favor? Motion carries. I'm sorry, Councillor Fisher.
Yep, no, not a problem, sir.
Mover and a seconder for bylaw 23 of 2026, and this is to authorize an agreement for the operation of the community recycling center. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Deal, Councillor Fisher. All those in favor? And motion carries. Mover and a seconder for bylaw 24 of 2025 to authorize a lease agreement.
Sorry.
Okay, comments. Good. Lease agreement with the Huron Community Family Health Team and the Seaforth Area Family Health Organization. Any comments or questions? Councillor
This is
Chartrand?
the 5-year lease,
That
so.
was the 5-year lease card.
And moved by Councillor Chartrand and second by Councillor Fisher. All those in favor? And motion carries. And congratulations to staff for getting that one off our plate. Can I get a mover and a seconder for bylaw 25 of 2026? Councillor Dalton and, Councillor Deal and Deputy Mayor. And this is a bylaw to authorize the Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement for the Ontario Fire Protection Grant. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? And motion carries. Mover to seconder for bylaw 26 of 2026, and this is a bylaw to amend the fees and charges bylaw. Mover and a seconder, Councillor Dalton, Councillor Fisher. All those in favor? And motion carries. Mover and a seconder for bylaw 27 of 2026, Councillor Chartran and Councillor Morrison. And that's a bylaw to delegate authority for lame duck provisions. All those in favor? And motion carries. Mover and a seconder for bylaw 28 of 2026, Councillor Councillor Deal and Deputy Mayor. A bylaw to authorize a contribution agreement for the Royal Ontario Development Program. All those in favor? Carries. And for the confirmatory bylaw, I'm getting a mover and a seconder, Councillor Fisher, Councillor Dalton. That be it hereby resolved that bylaw 29 in 2026, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council be given first, second, third, and final readings, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. All those in favor? Motion carries. And a motion to adjourn by Councillor Fisher and Councillor Teal. The time now being 7:41 PM. The regular meeting do now adjourn until March 10th of 2026